Hey everybody, it is Krahmon back again with another MTGA deck build. This is my Simic build that I'm just messing around with currently. I thought I would, just go over it because this is actually a little fun. It's not super competitive, but it has a little bit of a more of a competitive edge. It has some control ability, so I thought I'd go over it with you. Okay, now this will get started. Before I continue, Simic is the blue and green deck combo. And this one starts off with 3 opts, which is just very simple. 1 blue, scry 1, which, if you look at that, okay. Basically, you look at the top card of your library. If you don't like it, you can put it on the bottom of your library. From there, if I'm reading that correctly, I do believe it is, yes. And then you draw a card for 1, so very handy. Llanowar Elves, it's a staple for pretty much any green deck. It's 1 cost 1/1 tap for green. There are 3 disperses in here. Now the disperses are really nice because for 2 you can return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. That can be creature, enchantment, artifact, planeswalker. So this is a very handy, cheap card. It's a common, easy to come by, so it's actually kind of fun. Next we have Radical Idea. It's a 2 cost, simple draw a card, and jumpstart, which means you can cast it from your graveyard by discarding a card in addition to paying its other cost. Then you exile this card. So essentially you get two times you can draw from it. Just add a little more draw a power to the deck. Then we have Unexplained Disappearance. You return target creature to its owner's hand and surveil 1, and that's where you look at the top card of your library. You may put it into your graveyard. Deck manipulation and creature bounce, so it's really nice. Merfolk Branchwalker. 2 cost 2/1 Merfolk's Scout, and when it enters the battlefield, it explores. This is actually a really strong card for this deck because 1, it's cheap, and you don't feel bad about using it because it can either net you an additional land card, which you may be needing, or you put a 1/1 counter on it. So it can be really nice little attack ability there pretty early, or defense. 3 Naturalize for 2 cost, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Just a lot of removal in this deck compared to some of the other deck builds I've been doing. 3 cancels, counter target spell for 3. This, a well-placed cancel, actually I was testing this deck. Some well-placed cancels actually won me the game. So it can be very good. Next we have Exclusion Mage. I would run an additional one probably of this, at least in the sideboard. For 3 cost 2/2 Human Wizard. When it enters the battlefield, return target creature and opponent controls to its owner's hand. Another little solid creature with bounce, so more control, more field manipulation. Next we have the Elvish Rejuvenator. This one is 3 cost 1/1 Elf Druid, and when it enters the battlefield, you may look at the top 5 cards of your library, and you may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. This is actually has helped me quite a bit doing this, because I'll start with 3 mana or 3 lands but only 1 island, and I'll drop this, and if in the top 5 cards I have another island, boom, it hits the field, and very helpful. Next we have Jadelight Ranger, solid in any green deck. This one, and this is one of the things I keep forgetting to mention about this card that's really nice. Yes, it's a 3 cost 2/1 Merfolk Scout, and when it enters the battlefield, it explores, then it explores again. And that's where you reveal the top card of your library, put that card into your hand if it's a land. Otherwise, you put a 1/1 counter on this creature, then put the card back or put it into your graveyard. What I've been doing with this card is, what's really great about the double Explorer is when it hits, if you reveal that top card, or if you look at the top card or reveal it, and it's not a land card, you can then put it back on top of your deck, and then when you explore again, it'll get an additional 1/1 counter, so it'll actually be for 3. It'll be a 4/3. Really potent early game. And then on the second time, if that top card is one you actually don't need, you can just put it in your graveyard. No real issues there. We have a Tezzeret, Artifice Master. This is a 5-cost Planeswalker with 5 loyalty. +1, create a 1/1 colorless stopper artifact creature token with flying. Basically, he's in here to get you some blockers when you can get them out, or just flyers in general. You can pay, 0 to draw a card, or if you control 3 or more artifacts, you draw 2 instead. Can be really nice because, 3 turns if it's not destroyed by then, and usually you have enough answers that it won't be. You can easily get that, draw 2 cards for nothing. And then also for -9, you get an emblem with the beginning of your end step, search your library for a permanent card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. That is a really fun little part to it if you manage to get that emblem. Next we have River's Rebuke, and this is a 6-cost sorcery. Return all non-land permanents target player controls to their hand, and this is just a great field wipe bounce. It's basically set up, okay, I'm going to be able to deal lethal damage this turn if they're not able to defend. So you bounce everything. And the only thing that will save somebody from this is if they themselves have hexproof. Then this card's worthless. Just thought I would say that. But this actually has won me a game or two. It's a solid little thing. Running 2 Carnage Tyrants, say 6-cost, 7/6 Dino. It can't be countered, and it has trample and hexproof. This thing is a beast in any deck you run it in. This is also great in case you run into another control deck. This thing can't be countered, so therefore you're guaranteed it's going to hit the field. Plus, while it's on the field, it's got hexproof, so they can't bounce it, they can't burn it, they can't, the only thing they can really do is block it to kill it, kind of deal. Next we have 10 islands, 10 forests, and 4 woodland streams. Again, don't have shock lands or the other rare lands for this type. We'll shift them in as I get them, though, so... And next we go over sideboard, and we have a Pteramander, and this is it's kind of just a one-off because it can be kind of fun. You know, 1 blue, 1/1 flyer, Salamander Drake, but for 8 you adapt 4, and the ability costs 1 less to activate for each instant and sorcery in your graveyard. In this deck, getting a sorceries and instants in your graveyard is not a problem. The only reason this isn't considered a main deck potential for me is I only have 1 right now, and I would probably only run 2 anyway. But it's a fun little card. I may shift a second one in when I get one. Sorry about any of the background noise there. Next we have Essence Scatter, counter target creature spell. Just in case I need more removal. I have 1 negate, and that's, I think, oh, well, never mind. We'll remove that negate right now. Okay. We just have 4 Essence Scatter because that negate was going to do the same thing. Okay, next we have 3 Amulets of Safekeeping. This is a 2-cost artifact. Whenever you become the target of a spell or ability your opponent controls, counter that spell or ability unless they pay 2, or, pay one colorless. And creature tokens get -1/-0. Now this can be just like if you stack these, they can be a kill for token decks. They'll be blockers, but that's the best they'll have. And then if you use your bounce abilities, they're not going to have blockers anyway. So nice little thing to have sideboarded. Next we have another cancel, just in case I'm feeling I'm not getting enough counter. Then we have 2 Dimir Informants. It's simple 3-cost, 1/4 human rogue. When it enters the battlefield, you surveil 2, which means you look at the top 2 cards of your library, and you put any number of them into your graveyard, and the rest on top of your library in any order. Then we have an additional Carnage Tyrant if we find that we're just really needing a little more backup. Happens on occasion. Then we have 2 Immortal Suns. Now, this is in here mainly for the ability of this thing has got some really good potential. Yes, it does cost 6, which can be a pain, but players can activate Planeswalker's loyalty abilities. This can save you so hardcore, it's not funny. If you run into a deck that's focused around exploiting the Planeswalkers a lot, this will help deal with that a bit. Then at the beginning of your draw step, you draw an additional card, which is always nice, and spells you cast cost 1 generic less, or 1 colorless, I should say, which is just nice. That's always a good thing. And then creatures you control get +1/+1. So this is actually a really powerful artifact to throw. It's a sideboard because I don't feel this is not supposed to be a Planeswalker lockdown kind of deal. If I had ways to drop it quicker, like if I ran, other variants, or like in Legacy or Vintage, this would be a main deck card. This would be really good. Next and last on the list, we have a Field of Ruin. And now this, if you find somebody is using specific land, or like the transform lands that are just really potent, you can bring this in. As I get more, I'll probably shuffle 2 more into the sideboard, removing some other stuff. But this one is tap for a colorless, or pay 2 colorless and tap and sacrifice Field of Ruin. Destroy target non-basic land an opponent controls. And each player searches their library for a basic land card, puts it onto the battlefield, and then shuffles their library. This can break certain decks that require that whatever the abilities from those lands are. So definitely plan on putting 2 more in here. I just don't have them yet. So, and as I get them, I'll probably bring down Essence Scatter to 1. Maybe drop the Pteramander completely, and then that'll give me the 2 necessary slots here for that. So anyway, guys, this is this is just a kind of a fun / slightly competitive deck. It's a little bit of control, a little bit of mana ramp, things like that. So it's actually kind of fun. Runs pretty well. I'm sure there are some things I can do to it to make it work a little better, and we'll address that at another point in time. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it informative. I hope it gives you ideas to build your own decks, or even take this design and tweak it how you want. Leave me a comment down below about anything you would do different. Again, this is not supposed to be a tier 1 deck. This is kind of just, as most of my decks are, they're more for fun. So, yeah, guys, just if you enjoy the video, leave me a thumbs up. It'd be much appreciated. And as always, I'll catch you in the next video. Later, guys.